during all the sessions when I came, I did prostration. You know why I do prostration? To the images of the Buddha.
Exercise.
One exercise, yes, good exercise.
Increase the ego.
To decrease the ego. Of bowing down to the Buddha's image is to remember the Buddha. I felt that it's important to explain this point because many people, they think the Buddhists are idolatry and they don't feel comfortable bowing down to the images. So I thought it will be useful. How much higher qualities and virtues you are able to develop or not is very much dependent upon your receptivity, your humility. If you become humble, you become receptive. You open up and you're ready for getting good messages coming from anybody. Contrarily, if you remain arrogant, going or paying homage towards nobody, thinking that I'm self-sufficient, I'm somebody, then you are already blocking the door for receiving higher qualities. Mahatma Gandhi also, in one of his teaching, he said, talks, he said that in order to get good education, you should leave the doors and use of your mind open so that you get the fresh air of knowledge and education. So the idea is, I think, similar. I remember very well, in fact, an Israeli who came to the Ramsala many, many years back and wanting to study Buddhism. So came to me and asked me, I am really interested in Buddhism, how can I study, from whom I can study? So I said, it will not be so easy for you because you need a teacher, and then more difficult than that is to find a translator because most of the teachers don't speak English. So if you're so interested, then in the day I'm busy because I go to office. I was then working with His Holiness office. So after my office, we come, say for half an hour or 1 hour, something like that. Then if you have questions, then I will answer. So we did this for some time. And one day she came to me a little bit surprised, or that I did not understand that so many people are bowing down to the image. Why do they bow down to the image? Because it looks like she's not familiar with this tradition. So then by that time I know her very well. So I teasingly told her, uncomfortable because you. What? What do you mean? I said the purpose of paying homage, number one, is to are higher figures, people with better knowledges, people who are more compassionate. So we should respect them, bow down, respect them. People who are arrogant, they will not bow. Who are wealthy, who are famous, normally they go like this. Okay. But look at His Holiness. He goes like this. Always go like this. Respecting everybody. Although he is so famous, so knowledgeable, greatest practitioner. Never calls himself Buddha. Never calls himself I am the true Avalokiteshvara. He says, people call me, but I know who I am. I'm an ordinary monk. Even in dream, I get the dream of an ordinary monk. You see? So you can see, it's not only talking, he's doing like this for everybody. Very humble. And he received teachings from so many lineages, from Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelug, Sakya, so many traditions. And he's learning from the scientists. The big project that the library is doing of teaching monks science is, of course, based on the vision of His Holiness Dalai Lama. So learning good things, even from the mouth of the small child. At the end of the middling stages of meditation by Kamalashila. So Kamalashila also writes few verses at the very end of the middling stages of meditation, where he says that you should get the good advices even from the mouth of the children. Just as the earth receives the warmth of the sun from whichever direction it's coming. So similarly, you should, receive the knowledges. And nature has given us only one mouth, but two eyes, 2 ears. That means see more, listen more, speak little bit less. And also the nose is a little bit down, it's not like this. Because that is to say that you should care more about the filthy smell coming from your body rather than from other people. Not like the pig. The pig's nose is like this because he has to scavenge that. I think so, I think so. If you look at the structure of your own body, you'll find it, you see. And the tongue is not even out, it's just deep inside. And then look at the hands. These hands, long arms and nice fingers, are good for hugging. If it is for hitting, then we should get like balls. We should not have fingers, just 2 balls. It will be easier to hit, you see. Then also the teeth of vegetarian type actually. If you are to use your teeth to catch animals, to kill animals like the lions and tigers do, instead of being able to kill the animals, all your teeth will fall. Fingers also, not like the paws or claws of wild animals who survive by killing other animals. The fingers also will not be able to. So we are misusing our intelligence and harming others and killing others. But if you look at the structure of the body, it is for non-violence, it is for love, it is for compassion. And scientifically, it is proved that after the birth of the child, the first few weeks is extremely crucial for the development of the. So for that, the most important facilitating factor is mother's constant touch, hug, kissing, whatever. Mother or somebody, whoever. I think 60-70% of the brain development takes place around that time. Then later on, not much left. I mean, I'm not saying you cannot make progress, but you can. And again, here, don't get discouraged, because the good news is that the Buddhists, they say that the mind, if you keep on training it, even when you physically become old, your mind will stay fresh. Here, you can see that in the case of some people. Like His Holiness, now 80 years old. Compare him to many people who are 80 years old. He's extremely like fresh, Doesn't look like a man of 80 years old. Tirelessly traveling and teaching, because of the training of the mind. Before, the scientists used to say that when you become older and older, then your brain becomes slower, and gradually you will suffer from dementia. But now they are also changing. According to the latest finding, now they are talking more about plasticity. That means if you keep on using the brain and the nerves, then it becomes plastic, which means easy to function, you see. So therefore, another very important thing for us to remain healthy is also constantly thinking and using the brain so that the nervous, you know, neural pathways will be open for you. It's like road. If you keep on traveling, then the road will be fine. If nobody travels, then it will be covered by dust, stones, whatever. So these neural pathways through which you send the signals must be used regularly. So now similarly, the latest scientific findings and the Buddhist teachings. So therefore, I was saying that the purpose of paying homage to the Buddha is, they're not saying that this is Buddha, real Buddha. We are not saying that. But this is the image of the Buddha through which you remember the Buddha. So therefore, to this Israeli girl who asked me this question, after I saying you can't bow because you are arrogant, then I explained, asked her, when you travel around, do you carry the photos of your parents and relatives? She said, yes, I do. I said, you are stupid, like us. We are going to the image and you are carrying this photo which is not your real relatives and friends. She said, I know that, but this reminds me. So same, it's a reminder. Like you can remember, you're just sitting here, you can remember one of your very close friends being far away. And you can do that. That's your mental exercise. So therefore, the purpose of doing that is to learn how to bow down and respect other people. And then the next, when the teacher sits on the throne, which is higher than the students, then normally what the teacher does is he climbs on the throne, snaps his finger. And inside the words related to impermanence, the meaning of impermanence. So there is again to recall that now I'm sitting on the higher throne and there are some people listening to me, so I should not become arrogant. Because whenever you get higher post, name, fame, money, it's very easy to get arrogant and forget the reality. However, it's getting decay, impermanent. So instead of getting arrogant, you should also be thankful to the students, appreciate this Dharma. You should be thankful to the students because I'm getting this opportunity to talk, explain about Dharma, explain Dharma like that. I need to do a lot of homework. You are giving me this opportunity. So from that, whether you have intentionally did this to me or not is not the question. The question is that I got this benefit, I got this opportunity. So therefore, in this way, you do not get puffed up like this. In the Buddhist dialectical debating system, also when we ask the question to the opponent, we clap the hand like this. We take a rosary. Support this, I think it will be interesting to explain this. So we take a rosary. Then we pull the rosary up. This hand goes down. And this hand, I'm now sitting, I can't do properly, but this pulls up like this. So this ring of beads, this rosary, symbolizes samsara cyclic existence. So before you debate, when you do like this hand goes down, saying that through my philosophical study and reflection, I will close the door for negative existence, negative rebirth, and I will bring all sentient beings in the samsara to liberation up. So there are a lot of meaning there, see. And then you clap your hand and say, Di Chetarchoy. That means you are saying that, okay, the topic of discussion will be something like emptiness. Not necessarily emptiness, you can choose any topic, but basically you are saying that we will discuss now about the way things are, the reality. Now when you clap your hand like this, You heard the sound. How did this sound came into being? By clapping two hands, not just one hand. One hand you do as much as you can, there will be no sound. So you clap hand and produce a sound. So that is to show that this sound, just like this sound, which is produced by the two causes, the two hands. Similarly, everything is produced by depending on causes and conditions. Many causes and conditions, in fact, not just one cause and one condition. Then the sound you heard did not stay very long. Finished. Just a second. Similarly, we are here for a second, for a short time. We are not here to stay long. Impermanent. So there are so many like meanings there when you debate, you see. So the purpose is, again, as I was saying, that to always depend this awareness about the way things are, the reality, including impermanence and so forth, as I said earlier. So there's the purpose why we bow down. And then when you bow down, you pay homage physically, verbally, mentally. Physically, you have seen that I'm going down. And verbally, you recite certain prayers, the praises of the Buddha, whatever. And out of the three, the most important thing is mental homage. So mentally, you really venerate and respect the Buddha. And also when we bow down, if you are not doing it, it's different, but if you do it properly, they say. So normally you place the 5 parts of your body on the ground, the 2 palms on the ground, the 2 knees on the ground, and your forehead on the ground. This one. So again, you have to do those things properly. There's no need to explain everything in detail. But I thought, since you have been observing this, you must be wondering what he's doing. Okay. Then, of course, as you said, it's also good exercise. Good exercise. I managed to do every session one at least, which is really good. Exercise is very good, especially when you grow older and older. You see. Your limbs, your hands, your knees, they all become rigid. And if you keep on doing this light exercises, you can feel how much improvement there in terms of getting more flexibility. You will not become so flexible like the young people, but still you can really maintain that fitness and flexibility. So there may be many, many purposes. Therefore, the purpose of listening to all these teachings is to become a good person. And in our ordinary life also, to be a good person, to lead a happy and fulfilling life. That's our life's goal, I think. To lead a happy and fulfilling life and to lead a good life. Now, how can you have that happy and fulfilling life? People normally think that I will have a happy, fulfilling life if I have name and fame, if I have wealth, if I have power. But the reality is power, name and fame, wealth and money, these are not necessarily the signs of a happy life and fulfilling life. The real thing that will make your life fulfilling and meaningful is to become what you really want to become as a good person, to live a life where you have kind of integrity, where you have deeper inner satisfaction. So this inner calmness and tranquility is what makes your life fulfilling and happy. So do not make a mistake between the ways and means to happiness as the happiness. Wealth, money, power, they may give you some happiness, but they themselves are not happiness. They themselves say money is not happiness. Happiness is the internal quality. So how much internal quality of happiness you will have or not is not dependent so much on the wealth and the accumulation of money. There are people who are extremely, extremely happy with minimal of things. And there are people who are unhappy with after having everything at their disposal. We see millionaires who are unhappy. We see billionaires unhappy. If wealth is really the source for long-lasting peace and happiness, then they should be happy. And those who are very, very poor and do not have much, they should not be happy. But that is not the case. And in fact, at one point, the Buddha said, now look at this, the Buddha said, I'm very happy because I have nothing. I'm very happy because I have nothing. And in Tibet, we had great meditators like Milarepa who had nothing. So these are the stories we heard. But I have luckily in my own life seen Tibetan meditators who have nothing. Nothing means nothing. Nothing means nothing. Not just one, but 5, 6 Tibetan practitioners. Now all of them have passed away. When Tibetans escaped from Tibet, a very eminent practitioner from Tibet escaped, Tihor Kyokpo Rinpoche. You may not have even heard it. He came from a place called Tihor, and he used to be probably the monitor of the class. So it's called Kyokpo means monitor of the class, something like monitor of the class. So he became a great practitioner and scholar. And when it was his time to do the Geshe examination, he ran away. So I have nothing to do with these recognitions. He studied well, he's a great scholar practitioner, but I have nothing to do with these recognitions. They are bondage to me. He escaped, ran away, did not do the examination. So when Chinese came, he managed to escape to India, and he stayed in Dalhousie, which is 4 or 5 hours from Dharamsala. So I was also a student, not at his time, I never saw him, but I was a student in that same place, Dalhousie. I was studying there. So one day my teacher, who later became the abbot of Depung Losele Monastery, was our spiritual teacher in the school. So he asked me to come with him because there was a lady, I think England or somewhere, I don't remember, but a lady who wanted to sponsor these meditators, look after these meditators. So my teacher wanted me to come as an interpreter, translator. So I went with him. So then I met all of these 5, 6 students of this famous master, Tyorkyur Rinpoche, who was termed as the modern Milarepa. He was called the modern Milarepa. So I met 5, 6 of his students, including one nun. They had virtually nothing, believe me. I've seen it with my eyes. Virtually nothing means they have like piled stones and then covered with the canvas. So inside they were sitting with a thick cloth and old, almost very faded, worn out, just to keep them warm. Apart from that, I have not seen anything in their cave. And people around, I think they bring some lunch or whatever. So whatever, if it is ready, they eat it. If they bring something which is not ready, they will not even take care of it. It will be rotting there or whatever. And when at that time, this lady wanted to give 100 rupees, Indian rupees, to each of them, except one, all of them refused. What am I to do with this money? If I'm going to die tomorrow, what am I to do with this one? Refused. This is something I have seen. So, when was it? Again, some years back, I happened to go to Dalhousie, so I was again trying to locate those places, and now I could not even locate the place. more constructions and changes, unfortunately. That's the story. So therefore, what I mean is we will not be able to become like that. And of course, if we all become, great meditators and renounce everything, then people might die of starvation. Somebody has to feed them, look after them. So those things are there. We may not be able to do it. But what I'm saying is, if we lessen this grasping and attachment to things, to money, of course, we need to earn our livelihood, work to a great extent. But beyond that, beyond your actual need, if you go too much after money, you will become a slave. You will become a slave, and your freedom will be completely lost. So that's for sure. So therefore, a great Tibetan teacher, I think, Kuntang Tengbe, he said, I think Tsongkhapa, I don't remember. Anyway, one of them said that the sensual pleasures, the invitations sent to you by evil force. They are invitations sent to you by evil force. So if you follow too much of these sensual objects, then you will be taken by the evil force. And again, I think this master in one of his texts, he says, even if there is something called facility, but if that so-called facility is distracting you from your practice, from your spiritual practice, then he says this is invitation sent by the evil force. So you have to be rich. What is distracting you, what is obstructing your peace of mind, obstructing your freedom. So if we lessen this excessive attachment, which is a quite difficult thing in today's world because there's so much competition for wealth, money, and so forth. There is no sign of people settling down with some kind of contentment and satisfaction. And the end result of this too much greed is that we will have to destroy the whole planet. Because the material resources which we are expecting to get and increase every year by this excessive greed, material environment and sources are limitation. Anything that is material, water, trees, minerals, whatever you call it, they are material objects. Material objects have a limitation beyond which you cannot get. So therefore, if you try to get unlimited benefit from the limited resources, all you can do is destroy that which is happening today, unfortunately. So therefore, for one's personal well-being, freedom, and happiness, it is important to have more contentment. Now, when we say contentment, some people say, oh, if you have contentment, the Buddhists talk about contentment. If you have contentment, then you will never make development for your country. So the country will never move forward. People ask this question. But that is wrong. It's wrong. Because where the Buddhist teaching says, like, for your own personal needs, there should be contentment. But for the betterment of the society as a whole, especially if it is really going to do good things for the society, then you should have many projects, lots of activities. But normally it is the other way around. For the well-being of the society, hardly anybody moves, comes forward doing anything. But for personal fulfillment, always working like a donkey. But what will you get? What are you going to money? You will just waste it. So there's the thing. So therefore, what I was really saying was, as again this teacher, I think he says that the foundation of Dharma is whether you have a good mind or a bad mind. The foundation. If you have good mind means a mind wishing to benefit others, help others. If you have that, then the very foundation of spiritual practice is there. Okay? But in order to strengthen and further improve that mind, the good mind, you need to have more knowledge, more awakening. So therefore, he says, the door to Dharma practice is proper hearing. You have to listen to the teaching, entrance to Dharma practice. The essence or the heart of Dharma practice is the unity and harmony of the head and the heart, I call it, which means compassion and wisdom. Compassion and wisdom. And the measure whether your practice is really hitting the target or not is to see how much you are fed up with this world or kind of dissatisfied with the world in the samsara. If you are fed up with the way things are going in the samsara, then your practice is hitting the target. If you're not fed up, if you're not disgusted, if you still feel more like enjoyment and delight in the samsara, then your whatever you talk about, you're not hitting the target. Because the purpose of this practice, as I said, is to remove the conditioned suffering, the psychophysical aggregate, which is the bondage due to afflictive emotions and karma. Liberation. So instead of aspiring that liberation, if you started admiring the pleasures of this world, this samsara, then your practice is not hitting the target. Let me tell you this story also. Domtamba, a student of Atisha, great scholar, but a lay person, but a layman, but a great scholar, great practitioner. So when I think it was in Rending, which is the learning seat of the Kadambas, not the so-called Kadambas, the Shilden practitioners, which we hear these days, not them. We're not talking about that, which is unfortunately bent on destroying the Dharma, the purity of the Dharma. So that also, I think it's important for you to know how destructive the Shilden practitioners are. They're destroying the very root of the Buddha's teaching. The Buddhist teaching says take refuge to the Dharma and Sangha, and they're saying take refuge to the Shilden. The Buddhist teaching says that you take refuge to the Dharma and Sangha for the, and cultivate bodhicitta to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. But they would say, you practice this deity, this malevolent spirit, you will get wealth, you will become richer. So if you want to know, it's important. I'm not criticizing unnecessarily anybody, but it's important to know who is right, who is wrong. Because these days, because of propaganda machine and shamelessness, many people who do bad things, they go ahead, at least temporarily. In the long run, they will not, because if you go against the truth, reality, you cannot go against it. But in the long run, of course, the truth will always prevail. But temporarily, they go ahead, because they shamelessly do every kind of thing for cheating people. You see? And there are no shortage of people who are gullible and looking for something. You see? So these people are misled, unfortunately. So therefore, you need to know. And the whole thing about this evil force, how it came into being, how destructive it is. His Holiness spoke about this so many times. And if you visit his website, dalailama.com, it's all there. It's all there. There's a beautiful website of His Holiness, dalailama.com. So many of his visits, teachings, and suggestions are there. So it's important. This human life, we are not going to get it again and again. So therefore, it is important to use one's common sense. not just follow somebody who is eloquent in saying different things, but to choose the true line of thinking and make one's life meaningful. So therefore, I was saying that the measure of whether your dharma practice is hitting the target, or to see the afflicted emotions as the real enemy or not. Okay. So therefore, he says, make sure that your dharma practice becomes a dharma practice in the true sense of the term, and don't make it a show business. And again, of course, there is no push button enlightenment. No one will become enlightened in one go, but we should be going in the right direction. Each and every step should be in the right direction. And if we keep on doing that, then while we are alive, we will be happy. When we die, we will be happy. There's nothing to regret, nothing to feel sad. That's the purpose of human life. Purpose of human life is not just accumulating wealth. The purpose of human life is helping, sharing, making other people's life happier. And His Holiness Dalai Lama very clearly says, in your life, if you are able to make your life, if you are able to help at least 10, 20 people, help the life of 10, 20 people. I think this includes sentient beings also. If you are able to help 10, 20 people in the true sense, then you are making your life meaningful. If you're not able to do that, you may be reciting your mantra every day. You may be going around the temple every day. You may look like a great spiritual practitioner. I mean, people may think you are a great practitioner, but you are not. So the real test is not how you portray yourself, but what you actually do in your life. So when it comes actually doing in one's life, that the main target of all the teachings of the Buddha, Sutra, within Tantra, any of the 4 classes of Tantra, it may be very complex philosophical teaching. A lot of things are there. The main purpose of all these teachings, the target, the enemy of all these teachings is self-cherishing attitude, which means thinking just about oneself and not at all thinking about others, and intentionally ignoring the well-being of others. That's the enemy. And then the self-grasp having independent existence. That's the enemy. So how to fight these two? Seeing things as having independent existence and thinking just about oneself and completely ignoring the well-being of others. Fighting against these two bosses, all the afflicting emotions, and instead cultivating bodhicitta, the wish to benefit all sentient beings, which is antidote to the mind cherishing well-being for oneself and completely ignore others. So instead of that, cultivate bodhicitta, which aims to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. And secondly, cultivating wisdom, realizing emptiness, which is the direct antidote to the mind that sees things as having independent existence. That is the target. You don't have to make it. I mean, there may be many things to learn all the time, but you need to get the essence. Get the essence. The great Kadamba teachers, they say, I have only one thing to do with my practice, nothing much. What? Watch the delusions. Watch the delusions, afflictive emotions, my enemy, whether they are coming or not. If they are coming, I will be alert and fight them. If they are not coming, then I can relax. Absolutely true. The thing that is not making us remain peaceful, happy, relaxed is all these countless conceptions, especially negative emotions. What he is doing to me, what he will do to me. How can I have my life peaceful, happy? So worrying. We have created a jungle in our mind. Jungle. All kind of conflicting emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred. So how can you be in peace when your thought is in conflict? with so many especially so many hostile minds are coming in your mind, how can you be happy? As clear as that. And therefore, Atishan is limb of the path to enlightenment says that the conceptual ignorance, this discursive thought is the greatest ignorance. So therefore, try to reach a state where you are free from these conceptual thoughts. Try to cultivate a mind which is like a space, undisturbed space, where there's a lot of room for relaxation, for peace, for happiness. Don't constrict yourself with these negative thoughts. Don't suffocate yourself with these negative thoughts. With these negative thoughts. Constricting yourself, strangling yourself with these negative thoughts. Nobody else is doing that. You are doing that. When you cultivate one negative emotion and sitting there thinking, feeling miserable, unhappy, So therefore, the target, as you decided in the Heart Sutra, is no form, no eye, no ear. Of course, we have eye, ear, everything. But he's saying that there's no eye, no form, none of these psychophysical aggregates having independent existence. Seeing these things as having independent existence is the obstruction. And it is this obstruction which creates fear, unhappiness. And in the part of the heart, the Buddha, when your mind is free from obscuration, you will be free from fear. Similar, that means when you transcend these misperceptions of the reality, then you will achieve the process of suffering, the nirvana. It's a powerful word. When your mind is free from obscuration, there will be no fear. Similar, that's the thing. The fear, the suspicion, the doubt comes because your own mind is full of negative thoughts. Therefore, the purpose of life is to, as much as possible, to be kind, to benefit others, and reduce one's own thinking just oneself and forgetting others. Of course, you need to think about yourself, care about yourself. As the other day I said, I take care. That you have to do. But that does not mean while you take care of yourself, you completely ignore the needs and well-beings of others. That's if you do that, then that's called self-cherishing attitude in this sense. So which is bad. Okay. So therefore, we should, there's so many things to know, but it's also important how to summarize and do the practice. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama summarizes his teachings by saying that if you are able to help others, help them as much as you can, and somehow if you cannot help, at least refrain from harming. That summarizes both the Hinayana and Mahayana teaching. Help others as much as possible is Mahayana teaching. If you cannot help, at least refrain from harming others, Hinayana or Theravada teaching. So all the teaching of the Buddha is summarized in these two lines. And the other day also I told you the other way of summarizing Buddha's teaching, that is the Buddhist way of life is non-violence. And the Buddhist philosophy is interconnected reality. So that's also another way of summarizing the Buddha's teaching. Okay, clear? So, yesterday we have been discussing about the true origin of suffering, and we did quite a lot of explanation about the destructiveness of reflective emotion. If you are devoid of this afflictive emotion, then even if you have a karma committed, the karma, the negative karma, the karma will not be. If, as an example, if you plant a seed of rice or barley or whatever in a dry ground with no moisture, the seed is there, but it will not produce green shoots or fruits or flowers because there is no moisture. So afflictive emotions are moisture, like moisture. It's only when in addition to the karma, when it is activated and moistened by afflictive emotion, then it is responsible for producing negative karma and producing uh, rebirth in the samsara. Okay. So therefore, as I repeatedly mentioned, that one is to see these afflictive emotions as the most sworn enemy. And apart from this afflictive emotion, even if the whole world becomes your enemy, and once you throw into the hell, they'll not be able to do it. But the afflictive emotions that is within you can help. Hell means a very tormenting state of existence in this life and in future lives also. In this life also, I mean, I cannot say this life is hell, but sometimes when we have so many negative thoughts, then we say that I'm experiencing hell these days. You see? So something like that, okay? So I also explained that afflictive emotion means those emotions which when arises in your mind makes you completely disturbed and unsettled. Okay. So from that it becomes very clear that we don't want disturb, but we want peace. Okay. So then for a detailed understanding, it's important to know the destructiveness of each of these afflictive emotions. Now, luckily, there are so many books by His Holiness and other authentic teachers. So many books are available. So you need to read them, like how destructive anger is. What is the definition of anger? How destructive it is. Similarly, hatred, jealousy. You need to read that. Okay? Because if you don't have a precise understanding of the destructiveness of each of these afflictive emotions, you will not be able to distance yourself from them. So normally I tell people that it's really like how you make, friendship with somebody. When you make friendship with somebody, if that person who you are going to make as your friend initially looks very good, especially before marriage, it looks good. But when you marry or when you become friend with that person and start staying together, sharing problems and difficulties together, sharing money and wealth together, then problem starts. Then you can see how good that person is. So with this kind of testing or living together, when the more time you spend with that person, the more you see the ugly side of that person, the more you will distance yourself from that person, because you are able to see clearly, not only one time but many times, how that person is. So then you will distance yourself to the extent when you say divorce, something like that. So similarly with the negative emotions, if you keep on watching them, living with them, and we are actually, the only problem is we don't observe carefully. But if we observe carefully, these negative emotions have been living with us for a long time. But the only problem with us, or the main problem with us, is that when something is with you, something is your quality, even if it is afflictive emotion, you tend to say, this afflictive emotion should be good because this is my afflictive emotion. Another very strange way of thinking that we human beings have, clearly showing how strong is your self-grasping. Because of this strong self-grasping, whatever qualities you have, bad and good qualities, you tend to glorify it. Anger may be in general bad, but my anger should be justified. I have a reason. I'm not just getting angry like that. I have a reason. So you will try to defend it. You see? I sometimes jokingly call that the smelly socks. Smelly socks. Smelly socks means My socks, even if it is smelly, I will not see it dirty. Some my nose to see how clean it is. That's we do. But when it is somebody else's socks, it may be brand new, but still, oh, socks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Smelly socks attitude. But this is an example that I, thought it's very easy for us to understand how we, differentiate with what belongs to you and what belongs to others. So even with the negative emotions, when it is your negative emotion, you still try to defend it. So therefore, the Buddhist teachings say negative emotions are destructive. Whoever has it. A teacher has a negative emotion, so it's better, no? My teacher is very angry today. It's not a recommendation. You're actually saying bad things. You may be praising, oh, my teacher today very angry. The teacher is very angry, then something is wrong with the teacher. If he's acting, then it's different. You see? So therefore, negative emotions, wherever they are, whoever has habit, whoever has it, it's wrong, it is bad, it must be banished. Very important practice that you should remember in your daily life is make a distinction between the doer and the deed. The doer and the deed. The person who does the action and the action itself. The action itself, the doer and the deed. Meaning that normally when somebody does something wrong, then we immediately blame that person, saying that, oh, it is done by her, oh, it is done by him. You see, we easily, again, you can see here, if somebody does good, not many are there forthcoming, praising that person's quality. Oh, he's so wonderful, he's so good, everybody stay praising. It is there, but not so much. And not only so much, but sometimes when you praise somebody, immediately there will be another person who will say, he may be good, but meaning that I've seen other bad things about him. It's our tendency. It is wrong. Good qualities of that person. So you have to use the word but. If there are many bad things you can say it at another time. But here we are talking about the good things of this person. You see, so you'd say, yeah, that's excellent. That person may be very bad, but if he or she has done something good, that must be highlighted and respected, appreciated. There will give an opportunity for that person to join the mainstream of the good community. But normally we don't give that opportunity. When somebody does a little bit wrong, then we say, oh, he's so bad. Oh, he is bad. He did this. You try to ostracize that person, make that person a black sheep among the society. Then people start thinking, okay, now I don't belong to the society, so I join the other party, the bad people. You see, it's happening in the society. Many people join the IASI's group. Why? Some may be crazy, but some maybe they must have experienced a lot of frustrations and other problems in their own society. Who knows? I'm not saying it is, but who knows, you see. So therefore, we need to always give an opportunity for people, whoever they are, to do good. Encourage their good deeds, especially if somebody is not doing many good things, but once in a while does good things. You should especially encourage and highlight the good things of that person so that he will become better. So therefore, the Buddhist teachings say that make a distinction between the doer and the deed. That means if somebody does something bad, wrong, then you should, instead of saying that this person is horrible and bad, instead of saying what he did was wrong, the deed was wrong. This is not same like saying that person is wrong. So you're saying that what you did was mistake, giving an opinion. And we are very clever people. We are very clever. But when the same thing is done by us, we make the distinction. Oh, I am sorry. I didn't want to do that. Meaning that I am a good person, but I commit. But I am not a bad person. I'm a good person. So you say sorry. You make this distinction between the doer and the deed when it is done by you. But when the same thing is done by other people, you don't make a distinction. You immediately say, he is horrible, he is horrible. So therefore, the target, as I said earlier, of our fight through Buddhist practice is the afflictive emotions within that person, not the person itself. Aryadeva in his 400 verses says that the Buddha has seen the afflictive emotions as enemy, not the person who is related to the afflictive emotion. The person is helpless. Is controlled by this person is helpless. When somebody is insane and mad, he does all kinds of stupid, destructive things. But still, you can understand. Still, you will understand. You will say, "Oh, this person, he did all these destructive things because his mind is not functioning. He's insane." So you excuse that. You see. So similarly, the things that we do out of ignorance. We do out of ignorance. Not that we are enjoying getting angry. Out of ignorance, we commit all these kind of negative things. So therefore, you should understand that this person is helpless. So in order to change this person, what we need to do is give that person an opportunity to cultivate the positive qualities and remove the negative qualities. So make a distinction between the doer and the deed. This is very clearly explained in this Shantideva's book, The Bodhisattva Way of Life. You all have Shantideva's book, Bodhisattva Way of Life. You must have those books. It's the best Buddhist book on ethics.
It's our next course.
Huh?
It's going to be our next course.
Next course? It is going to be your next course.
Do we have
It's going to be the next course. We're going to ask.
Bodhisattva Way of Life. Now there are at least 5-6 different translations of this book. It's the one published by Library of Tibetan Books and Archives. No, I'm joking. But we have published this book also. So you must have those kind of books.
Can I make a few questions?
Yeah.
What do you think about the men that are making sexual abuse? That we must give them also?
What?
The men that make sexual abuse to kids.
Yeah.
So this is the same thing.
Give an opportunity to become better. That's not to say that you are right. What you did is wrong. Meaning you are wrong because you did wrong. That is not saying you cannot change. That's not saying you cannot change. Even if it seems to be like very difficult to change, but we must try to change. But at the same time, make sure that there should be some rules and regulations so that he does not continue engaging in those. I know you're taking better, so you do whatever you like. I'm not saying that. Of course, the whole of the country will be applied. Whatever punishment or whatever restriction that has to be given, it has to be given. But at the same time, try to give an opportunity for that person to change and become better. Okay.
I have a question in the same. The men that translated the Bodhisattva Avatara, Stephen Batchelor. Now he's became controversial. So this
Controversial in what sense?
going around and saying there is no karma, there is no.
That's his problem, not our problem.
Our problem is that it gets us confused.
No. When you listen to somebody's translation, you don't have to accept it. The translation is good. We have been selling this for a long time. So that I think is not a problem. Yeah. But you don't have to follow what he's saying or what he's writing. That's important. Yeah. Yeah, there's the thing, when you have a little bit of knowledge, then you start thinking that you are cleverer than Buddha. It happens with everybody, yes, it happens. And especially in today's society, when people talk about freedom, you and I respect him, but there are millions who don't respect him. So they will not pay any attention to the Buddha's teaching, whether it's going against his wish, not against his wish. So therefore, like for us, like it is important to not only follow the teaching, but also use our common sense to be right. Okay. Yeah, you can ask questions. Another 15, 20 minutes questions, yeah.
Mention definition for the precious human rebirth, which was different from what I knew. Could you please?
What?
Which was different from the one I knew. Could you please repeat what is precious human rebirth? Is the
Precious human life.
precious human life as opposed to human life? What makes it precious?
Why? The precious human life basically means you have this. Generally means because you have this great human mind potential that judge between what is right and what is wrong. So therefore, generally we call it precious human life. But if loosely termed precious human life, my feeling is that is a great potential, but that will not necessarily make your life precious. Because of that, you call your life precious human life because you have the potential. But unless you use this potential on the constructive, positive side, you will not become precious in the true sense of the term. So instead, your life could become very destructive if you use this great potential in killing people, destroying people, creating unhappiness. Your life is not precious, but what is the opposite of precious? Huh?
Wasted.
Worthless. Huh? Worthless. Yeah, worthless or something. You see. So that's the thing. So therefore I was saying that people say, oh, precious human life is not so precious. Human population is increasing. People ask this question to me many years thinking how to answer it. Now with this new giving, I think I have an answer. The population in general, but the people who really use this human potential to the good side, constructive side, probably is not growing. Population is small. I don't know. This is my finding out, Right or wrong, I don't know. You judge. Yeah.
I have a beginner question.
Please.
I find it hard still to grasp the idea of next life, rebirth. How can I still advance learning the Buddhism as a moral ethics for me, secular
I
moral ethics?
don't really think you have to believe in future life just to become a Buddhist. I mean, a beginner maybe, not a core practitioner, but a beginner probably. I think it's okay. But the main Buddhist message is, as I said already, to help others, not to harm others, leading an ethical way of life, and that you can know it's good for you. But at the same time, it is important to give a thought, not to completely just reject it, because His Holiness that even the scientists, they are not saying that there is no future life. They are not saying there is no future life. If you ask future life, they will say, I don't know. So you are not finding something, and you're finding the non-existence of something is different. Okay? So therefore you should explore and take some examples. I give you one example. For example, right now we are all awake. We're all awake. Tonight we are going. But now while we are awake, because we are so obsessed with this activities in the waking state, if I say, I'm enjoying this waking state so much, and I'll really take care over this waking state, I don't believe in sleep. And I don't believe in dream. How would it be? I'll immediately answer by saying, no, that is not saying there will be no dream and no sleep, because we'll say that. Because we all experience sleeping, we all experience dreaming. We have that experience. Now, based on that experience, how does this dreaming takes place? You are more or less dead when you're sleeping, more or less. I'm not saying you are dead, but more or less, all your senses. Sleeping means withdrawing all the function of the senses. Your eye can't see, ear can't hear, nose can't smell, touch also you can't feel, especially if you're more or less dead. The physical sensations, the grosser consciousnesses, they become dormant. But when these things become dormant, the mind becomes more active. And we know that. When you get a dream of shopping in New York, or at least in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, you see, whereas you are sleeping here. So what is happening at that time? The mind is going there. The body is not going. For sure, the body is not going. So that indicates to me, I don't know, to me that indicates the possibilities of the separation of the mind from the body. One way of thinking. Another way of thinking is that how you live your life during the waking state makes a huge impact what kind of dream you are going to get. So if you say, I don't care about the dream, I'll only think about the waking state, will make no sense, because what you do during the waking state is definitely going to make a difference to your dream. For example, if you fight with somebody very strongly when you are awake, it will leave in habit, it will leave an imprint, and it's very probable that tonight you will get again the dream of fighting again, or maybe next day, because an imprint has been left, a habit has been formed. So that's why in Buddhism we say that the mind will go, and whatever habit, whatever imprint has been formed, you will experience it again and again. Another example that I can give you, a very good example which I learned from my teacher. It's like we talk about committing so many karmas and leaving an imprint on the mind and then later on experiencing it. How can we explain it in modern day language? I am saying something, he's recording now. You are recording everything, including the sound. Then you switch it off and look at the screen and take each of the instruments inside. Look at that. Will you see my picture there? Like that? Or the sound you may not hear when you don't operate it. I'm saying when you don't put it on.
Okay.
When you don't put it on, it's all there. It's all there. It's all preserved there. But when you don't put it on, you can't hear the sound. You can't see the picture. But this does not mean it is not there. The imprint is there. The imprint is left there. How can we make sure that there's an imprint? Switch it on. Switch it on, then you can hear. And what will you hear? Depending upon what you recorded. If you have recorded somebody crying and shouting, then when you put it on, you will hear shouting and crying, which will create unhappiness. If you have recorded singing and praying, when you put it on, you will hear that and you will feel happy. So similar like that. You may not be able to see what has been recorded like this, in the groove of a gramophone or cassette ribbon, But when this cassette ribbon put in the right place and activated by the right causes and conditions, then it will play whatever has been recorded. So similarly, whatever is recorded here, when it comes into contact with the right causes and conditions, then you experience once again whatever you have recorded. Clear? Yeah. Yeah.
You said before that was if we find less interest in samsara or no interest in samsara, we know we are making progress on top. How do you do that without falling into like despondency or depression? Without falling into depression, if nothing's interesting anymore.
How to fall into?
How do you lose interest in everything that you were interested in? Or
not losing interest. I'm not saying losing interest, but what I'm saying is not seeing the real essence and meaning in the samsaric ways of life. Meaning, for example, make it more clear. Like, for example, I'm not saying life is bad. I'm not saying that also. Okay, so understand that clearly. I'm not saying life is bad. I'm not saying everything you're doing is bad. So, lose interest in whatever you're doing. I'm not saying that. But in the samsara, many ways of things that we do is short-sighted, not beneficial to oneself, not beneficial to others. I'm talking about those things, and especially repeated, cultivation of afflictive emotions. So this, if you are not fed up with this kind of recycling, doing the thing again and again, if you're not fed up with that, means if you have not seen the uselessness of such work and continuously doing the same thing, even though there's not much meaning, then that means you are not fed up with what you are doing. And then you will not delight in good things. The actualization of nirvana, benefiting others, and so forth. Like, for example, drinking wine. If you keep on drinking wine and then people say that first you drink wine, then the wine will drink you. Okay, so in this way, if you get very intoxicated, and get this habit of drinking all the time, then very soon you become very sick. And this sickness, interestingly, makes you feel disgusted to drinking. You see. Then there is a hope. that you will stop drinking.
For 2 hours.
Huh?
You feel disgusted for 2 hours.
No, it depends.
One morning.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly in the samsara. You're right, absolutely right. That's the problem. Yeah, for a short time. Exactly, this is what you are saying. Exactly true. That's the problem. So therefore, you need to develop this continued understanding. You see the goodness of the religious practices, the destructiveness of the bad practices. Then hopefully you will change so that you will not begin into the same habit. But ordinarily, absolutely, you're right. As I said the other day, I get so moved when he's always teaching. But when I step out of the door of the temple, welcome back to the same familiar world. And you lead the same life that you used to lead, you see. So that's true. So therefore, we need to sustain constant practice. So that gradually you will prolong doing good things, shorten doing bad things. So that's the process. Just like any other training, even physical training. In the beginning, it's very difficult. You do it, you're very committed to something, but you're not able to do. But if you keep on doing, then it becomes a habit. Somebody who gets habituated in running will become a good runner. So it's a question of getting habituated. One more question? Yeah.
I'd like to use your example about the recording
Mm.
to try to take decisions like you asked yesterday.
Mm.
Is it like this, that if it is like this, that our mind is full of imprints
Mm.
that are there, like the recording, and then in special conditions, the result is
Mm.
so if I have at a certain point a choice, like doing this or doing that, is it not like this that the condition itself, something is, maybe the condition is inside me, maybe the condition is outside me, decide this way or that way. Where's the freedom?
That is very much dependent upon how strongly you are habituated with your practice, or how strong is your habit. If your habit is strong, even if the and conditions are very hostile, still you will stand your way and do it. If your habit in these good things is not very strong, then you will be carried away by the forces of the causes and conditions, you see. And when we do have examples in the ordinary society, there are people who are so strongly determined, who have such willpower. Like, for example, Nelson Mandela. When he was thrown into the Robben Island for so many years, suffering so much, still he was maintaining his calmness and peace. He maintained his, vitality, energy, and was able to fight that huge injustice. Very strong habit, you see. You can do it. But if you don't have that strong habit, then, as you mentioned, and also you are now asking, that you will be easily overwhelmed by the causes and conditions. So therefore, it's really a question of developing conviction in the goodness of what you are doing. Strong conviction, then you will not be easily pushed around by changing situations, circumstances. But if you don't have that, the problem is, of course, you are saying is that we don't have that great conviction. That's the problem. But that does not mean to say that we cannot